This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome, dear viewers, or listeners, or viewers, because we're also on YouTube. It's another episode of Superconnectivity, and I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Essa. With me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits.
Phil, Filmy, and Perich.
Philippe! So glad you could join us, my friend. Oh, so much to talk about, so little time. So many things we've already talked about to excess on that other show we do, Capes and Lunatics, the main broadcast, the main theme of the entire network that we are on here. And yet there is still more to digest, because no matter how much we talk about in the world of genre fiction, there is always more.
There's another thing for our list, too. Didn't you want to go more into that Hulk?
Oh, freaking crazy manja, thank you. So, kids, I don't know if you're reading the Immortal Hulk, but you ought to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, what goes on behind the green door? The green door. What goes on behind the green door? That is very central to the current Al Ewing Immortal Hulk reign. Man, we had Al Ewing on this show, and I did not even get to ask him, hey, was that because of the song, The Green Door? What goes on beyond the green door? Or did you just find out that later? Because I'm sure someone has pointed out to him that, oh yeah, there's a very famous song. And there's also a very famous adult entertainment called The Green Door. So...
Oh my.
Oh my. Yes, I do wonder what Al was thinking with that. But aside from the fact that obviously, there's a door and there's a thing and the Hulk goes through it, so the door must be green with grandma. But doesn't explain other colored gamma creatures, including red gamma creatures who also came back.
Mm.
So there's a lot more. This is why I think, quite frankly, the leader making, now the door's red, so stop. Haha, that means you can't come back. It's like, dude, clearly that's not going to be the case, because you already know that, and also you're going to face the Hulk, and the Hulk is just going to smash through it, because he's the Hulk, and that's what he does.
That's right.
He doesn't connect the dots. You see, leader, he's a smart guy. He's not a very smart. But moving right along. In the Immortal Hulk, The Threshing book, which just came out this week, or last week. It was actually last week. It wasn't
this week. This week.
It was this week?
Yep.
Okay. But it just came out this week. It's good. There are things that, if you're like a Hulk fan, you might be a little... It's very killy. I'm just going to say that right up front. If you're like, the Hulk doesn't kill because Bruce Banner doesn't kill, it's like, no.
Not no more.
Not no more, no. But then again, as we said, that's because the leader's been influencing this whole time. What are you going to do? Anyway, but at the end of the day, the secondary argument is that no, we are all capable of killing, if ever pushed too far. But in the Hulk's case, it's just because he's a big freaking bully and wants to feel like he's a big man, because he's actually a very small man who always hates the fact that he's so small and weak and has to hurt other people to make himself feel good. Yes, Hulk, you are a very bad person and you should feel bad, and no amount of psychological loving from Doc Samson is going to make you any better of a person. I said it. But in this, we actually see something that we have never seen before, which is that another gamma-spawned creature is in a place outside of reality, and looks to be the place below all that the gamma creatures have been going to. And the Hulk, with his new insight through the Green Door, is able to reach out to that being to help her come back through, to absorb her gamma mutation, and to allow her to go on to a real life after the fact. And this is interesting because, and again, it's these kind of things that it's like, oh man, if we only had read this first, we could have asked Al Ewing about it because we had him on the show, and now we can't.
Yeah, but this issue wasn't even Al Ewing, though.
Oh, I know, but you have to see, here's the thing, Philip.
But they have to run it past Al Ewing, though, right?
Well, not even that. It's that once a writer writes something, someone else is going to write something else.
Oh, yeah.
And once you sort of, as I always say, all of comic books is a, 100-year-long story go round where every writer gets to take these characters and writes a story for them and then puts them back in the box, etc., 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 over many, many years. And once a writer writes something that says, there's a green door, and you can go through it, then other people are going to look at that green door and say, well, what does that mean for the character? What does that mean with the character's past? What have we seen the character do in the past that now we're going to have them do in the future? There was this, I had an old physics teacher, and he said, physics gets rewritten all the time, but it never rewrites the old stuff. That essentially you can't create quantum mechanics unless you can explain Newtonian physics. Because we have Newtonian physics already. We know how that stuff works. We see it working. You're going to write in new rules. You have to retcon Newtonian physics into your quantum mechanics. You have to retcon Newtonian physics into your Einsteinian relativity. And then when you do that, and if you want to try and do any kind of superstring, you better realize that there's a whole lot of canon you're going to have to incorporate into your theory to make it work, because we can see the other theories working. And yes, we know that there are failures in the other theories. And if you can now explain the failure, that's great, but you also have to be able to explain the successes. So when it works, you have to explain why it worked in the past. But when it is a new thing, you can, if you can explain something that we failed at, that's great, but you also have to explain what we weren't wrong about it within your new theory. So that is physics, and that is comic books.
Yeah.
And now that Al has opened the green door, and now that another writer has said the Hulk can look through that green door in the same way that the leader can, interestingly enough, in fact, possibly, tellingly, betterly than he can, we can look at past things the Hulk has done, like, see beings on another level, on another dimensional plane, fairies and the like, things that other people could not perceive. And then we look at the one character who is most adept at this, which is She-Hulk, who could not only look through to see things on the other side of reality, but to actually look past the panel and even manipulate the panel at her peak under John Byrne. And if we now look at this as a gamma-based power set, which other people then wrote in to be gamma-based power sets to say, oh yes, well the Hulk can see these things because the Hulk has this extra dimensional perception, and likewise She-Hulk can do the same thing and says she sees out into the panels. And now we have a door that we pass through, which now explains how you can walk across the panels in the same way that Gwenpool does by going into the white spaces, as Flex Mentallo did in the past as well, or at least does now in Doom Patrol. I don't know, I didn't read the original Flex Mentallo books. I don't know if you could go into the white space back in the day, or if that's something that Gwenpool came up with on her own. But those of you who know, write in to us at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com and let us know exactly who did it first. But yeah, so I definitely think that this green door is going to be a way that they're going to now further incorporate into She-Hulk's storyline that how she could see beyond the fourth wall. and why, for what it's worth. Now, I know you had suggested that at the end of Al Ewing's run, they're going to close the doors, and they're going to put the Hulk back in the boxes. Now, when they die, they're dead forever. Yeah. I think it's going to be exactly the opposite. I think it's going to be like, no, the Hulks can come and go as they please, and now they can actually are not as bound by the limitations because the door itself is a lie. To get into sort of what we got into in the Department of Truth #1 about how reality is the lies we tell ourselves. That what the leader and even the Hulk are doing when they're dealing with this green door is creating an image of what they're seeing, an image to interpret a much broader cosmic reality. So I think that's very much what we're dealing with here, is that there is a greater cosmic reality. All of the limitations that we're going to put on it are at their core going to be a failure of observation expressly because they are the human way of looking at it. And so the door is originally just a light, and it is void and without form. But because they pass through it, then those who are passing through it see it as a door. And because it is a door, they make the door. And because it is a door, it now has the rules of a door, which means it must be open and it can close, and we can pass through or we cannot pass through. And this is how the leader and the Hulk build this world. In fact, at the end of the day, it may not even be the place below all things. It is just how they perceive it, because at the end of the day, we know that these are very psychologically damaged people. Both leader, who apparently was something of an autistic savant in his current retconning. Originally, they would just say he was stupid, but actually it was literally said, no, actually he was never stupid. He just couldn't interact with people. And that's actually what it was. And so when he became the leader, it wasn't his IQ that was raised. It was his emotional IQ. It was his ability to interact with people, to be a more well-rounded person that was increased. Sort of like what I always say about Protocide, that Protocide is quiet because he's now aware of so much more, whereas Steve Rogers was always a smart guy, didn't notice that his intelligence increased. Protocide, kind of a dumb guy prior to that, suddenly he's all smart. And he's like, oh, wait a minute, what the heck's going on? So that's my take on that. So I do think that may be something they're going to open up, because we are in our new She-Hulk book. And one thing everyone who likes to write She-Hulk likes to do is try and build on her mythos. Because unlike Ambush Bug, other people get to write She-Hulk. And so when they build out her character, they like to explain who she's going to be as she evolves. And every time we get a new bit of data on what it means to be a Gamma being and a She-Hulk, people want to add to it and further explain her story. So I like that. It makes me happy. It makes me excited. I can't wait to see where it goes next. But that is She-Hulk, who is also going to be getting a show on Netflix, or going to be getting a show on Disney Plus, as is Ms. Marvel and many other people, including Nick Fury. But on 2 other networks, there's other things coming up, including Hellstrom over on Hulu on October 16th. Now, have you seen the most recent trailer for it, Philip?
Was there one just recently with within the last?
There was a new one. Yeah, there's a new one that's a little more recent, and that makes one dramatic change from the previous one that I think cements it into the MCU.
I don't think I saw it.
So a lot of people are saying, well, it's not really MCU. And there's a lot of talk about this, because it is definitely a darker theme than a lot of what we've seen. Although, again, like I said, light, happy stories like Endgame, I don't think that it is anything other than a dark story, but people say that palette-wise it's much more indicative of the Netflix shows. But one thing they have in this, and they didn't show this in the first trailer, but they showed in the second, is the pentagram scar on Damon Hellstrom's chest. And it's like not 100% clear, but they're now leaning into that. In what we see in the second trailer, we both see it on his chest, and we now see it very much in the thing. It doesn't form a full pentagram, and that might just be a choice that they're making, kind of as a weird thing. Although, here's a fun thought: if this is fully in the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to have this on Hulu, and it's not a full pentagram. Who else had a pentagram in his chest, Philip?
Are you thinking of Master Pandemonium?
Yes.
Ooh.
And those missing parts, that's because they're over in WandaVision. So go check out that show, too. Coming soon to a TV set near you on Hulu, on Disney+. So, yeah, I mean, I really think Hellstrom is going to be something interesting. I don't think they're going to go too deep. Although, I'll say this much, rewatching the Agent Carter stories, especially Season 2, and stuff that Stark is going to be doing with Zero Matter, knowing that Roxxon had all the notes on Zero Matter, it really makes me wonder whether or not, and of course this came out at the same time that they were writing the Cloak and Dagger, if that stuff's not going to come back. I do think this stuff is going to come back. I do think Cloak and Dagger, the Netflix heroes, and Hellstrom are all coming into the MCU. I don't think Marvel is going to be leaving these guys out in the wild. Although I do think that they will be always in their own place, in the same way the X-Men always used to be. They didn't used to always be right there in the middle of everything, but they had their own adventures, because there's a lot of adventures to be had. So, it's interesting. That's Hellstrom over on Hulu. Definitely leaning more into the beyond just being children of a serial killer. And now, clearly, that serial killer was also a demon of some sort. And possibly the devil himself. And they even make the point that the mother, they say in the new trailer that the mother, when she realized who their father was, cursed the father. And they make this little thing of that person drawing this symbol on a wall, suggesting that the mother was a witch, like Agatha Harkness, which we'll be seeing over in WandaVision, who maybe was duped into this relationship with this demon, and then once she realized what she had spawned, cursed that demon to lock him away so that her children could actually live a life.
I wonder, they said they canceled Ghost Rider, but I wonder if they really just pushed it back, like if it's going to spin out of Hellstrom eventually.
I would not be surprised. That's the thing. And I said this over on Capes and Lunatics.
Yeah.
Everyone says, oh, Feige won't touch that. Feige hates all the stuff that whatever his name did and those other people did, because that wasn't his stuff. It's like, no, I think the exact opposite. That is all the more reason for him to bring it all back in.
Oh, yeah.
And take what was good and improve on what he can make better. Because why wouldn't he?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't he? Has this stuff here. He has this stuff that is very popular. It's objectively popular. Mm-hmm. And people liked Cloak and Dagger. People liked Daredevil. People loved Luke Cage. Everyone likes Jessica Drew. She's awesome. Mm-hmm. Not Jessica Drew, Jessica Jones.
Well, both.
But they're... Yes, it is... Jessica Jones is always weird for me, because I first started reading her in the Avengers when she was the mom of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. She wasn't the hard-drinking, damaged person. And then, after they made her the Avengers mom, where she was kind of like just this, this person who was just calling out everyone on their stuff, but didn't, overemphasize that she was a, painful alcoholic.
Yes.
Like, their efforts to make her go back to that always feel a little weird to me.
I know.
But that's just me. It's like, no, she's successful now. She's gone through her 12 steps. She's got a baby. She's got a baby. She likes the baby, and she doesn't want the baby to die. And the baby is worthy and will go on to do great things in the future Marvel universes after all of the villains have done awful things. And then some of the villains didn't do awful things. Because there's also the universe where she's the new Captain America, which is a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. Yeah. So that's that. Now then, among other weird things that are out there, there is a new Conan TV show coming out.
Yep.
Which is not a Marvel show.
Well, it's going to be a Netflix... Is that a Netflix original?
It's a Netflix original, and it's produced by the person who owns the current rights to the Conan house. Which is interesting to me because it suggests that Marvel doesn't own Conan now lock, stock, and barrel. That it is, which is weird to me because it's like, man, they are reinvesting in Conan so heavy, and it's not a done deal. It's like, I mean, unless they sign some kind of crazy Sony-esque deal, which no, as long as we keep on using Conan, we get to use him forever in any way we want.
I mean, is it like a Sony deal with Spider-Man in the movies where they kind of both do it? I mean, you figure.
Well,
I mean,
the thing is that Marvel had to go out and get Conan.
Yeah.
And Marvel doubled down on Conan when they got him.
But the person who owns it, I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, you're getting all this free advertising for Conan in the Marvel books. I mean, that might have helped them get that Netflix series. They're like, well, look, he's in every other Marvel comic right now.
Now, the question is, what is this Conan series going to be? And everyone I've read on this says, if they make it about the comic books, it'll be great. If they make it Conan comics and Conan's Marvel work specifically, it'll probably be really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, again, this idea that if we can put the stink of Marvel on this, it'll work out. But if not, it's going to be another Jason Momoa Conan. Because, and not to be rude to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the first Conans, I enjoyed them. We all enjoyed them. They weren't objectively good movies. They were enjoyable movies. They were very enjoyable movies, but they weren't objectively good. And so, in that structure, in that idea that, they're going to come in to this universe, and for what it's worth, they always forget about the other Conan the Barbarian series, which was also not very good. That was at the height of the Xena Hercules round. And these were not good. These were not good stories told. They were okay. I enjoyed them to some extent, but I mostly enjoyed them because, it's a guy with Conan, and, it's like watching Red Brown Captain America. If that's what you're looking for, this checks the box. But I think Netflix is going to want something better, and I think they're going to want that Marvel magic. And I think how they're going to tell that story should be good, because Netflix, for what it's worth, definitely develops good things. So if Netflix is coming in and saying, we want to develop Conan, first of all, I definitely feel that this is Netflix saying, we want to develop Conan to make good Conan stories. First and foremost, that we're going to make good Conan stories. And then, but then at the secondary level of it, they want to have the kind of stories that they're telling over in Marvel right now. Now, how much they're going to be able to and how much they're going to want to, I don't know, but I do wonder a lot about that. Although one of the weirdest things I wonder, and this goes back to this idea that maybe Marvel does not own Conan as much as they think they do, Conan still hasn't put on pants yet. And that's weird to me, that he's lived in this world this long and he's still wearing his loincloth.
Oh, so you think that's part of the deal? He's not allowed to wear pants?
I think that, they reversed Howard the Duck to him. He can't wear pants. And I think that is a weird thing that they've established in this universe. And they definitely have presented it like he wants to get out of this universe. He wants to go back to his own time, his own place. But, it's one of those things where it's like, well, why will they? Why could they, why would they ever do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a weird thing. I mean, they can always throw him back in time travel at any time in the Marvel Universe. That's the glory of it. But that they're keeping him in the furry underwear tells me that there may be a reason beyond artistry why they have to do this. So that's my theory. That's my idea. I don't know for sure, but maybe I'm wrong.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. But it's interesting that Conan's getting another life over on Netflix. This was originally going to be an Amazon property, but Amazon passed. So that is another scary spot with it. And it does make me wonder if this person who has secured the rights to Conan is maybe demanding too much money. Which tells me that this whole thing could just fall in on itself. Because, you know, not for nothing, greedy people who own rights to things they didn't create, always a bad idea.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We don't know yet. And it really will come down to our artists going to be passionate about it. But let's talk about some comic books, Philip. You want to talk some comics?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Conan, do you want to talk Savage Avengers, number 12?
Sure.
Where, again, we see... Well, first off, we see that, got, Strange and Elektra. I don't know about Elektra, man. And I don't know about really anybody in the superhero business. They all have way too much sex, I feel. I mean, I get that sex is great, and you're all in great shape, and maybe you... And, for what it's worth, that's what they say about the Olympic athletes. Why they always... the Olympic Village is always full of lots of sex because we're all young people in great shape,
mm-hmm.
and we like sex, and so great. But it just seems like so many superheroes have so much casual sex. It's always a little weird. But this is neat. So we have Elektra and Doctor Strange. They hook up. They conjure basically your dead coachman to take them to the afterlife, where they meet with Dr. Voodoo and whatnot. Oh, by the way, do you know what this is?
No.
I think that's Skrull script, but I don't know.
I mean, it's an ad. It's an ad for something, so.
Yeah, and it's a Marvel ad.
Yeah.
So we'll get that translation in a couple of months. Although, unless it's maybe supposed to be something that was like Empire related, but it just seems weird. Although the black on red implies that it might be that thing that is like, after Empire. Oh, this is the next scary thing.
Or unless it's
kill, I forget if that's Jericho or Daniel. I think I forget which one it is, but it's one that was dead that was resurrected by the hand. Yada yada yada. And Elektra kills her because that's the only way you can get rid of the stink of the hand. And
they killed Daniel.
Yeah,
she did. Yeah.
And Baron Zamidi's not having any of it.
Uh-huh.
He's also like, I'm not going to bet your soul. I'm not stupid enough that when a Sorcerer Supreme is willing to bet his soul to take that bet. It's like, it's telling me that the Jack of Clubs is going to jump out and shoot cider in my ear. Here's her next in Christmas, it will. And then we got, now, of course, Conan meets the Cullen Gath monster, Shumgorath, and then, of course, this looks interesting, the Werewolf by Night. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Red Wolf's going to be in that. But Conan slices the guy in half, then eats the lady's peanut butter, and we get a nice little joke about peanut butter stuck to the roof of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hero... It's kind of a filler bit here, because then Elektra shows up, and then they go, and then they say that now the next issue, they get the band back together.
Yep.
And we're going to murder Cullen Gath. This time, we mean it. So maybe they'll be sending Conan back to the past where he doesn't have to wear pants. But we'll see. What else did we read this week, Philip?
Oh, you read Captain America. Falcon Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. And I even went back and reread issue 2.
Yeah, it's been a while.
because this is issue 3, and man, I had to go back to find issue 2.
It's been a while.
That was like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, of course, we get the big reveal at the end that the villain was their friend the whole time.
Yep.
Veronica Eden. Although she has I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the pink Hydra outfit. It's a little Gwenpool-y for me.
Is it pink or is that just a light?
It looks pink. It looked very Gwenpool-y.
I know. I just thought it was like black, white, and red. I don't know if it was just the light from those monitors, but yeah.
I don't know. I'm getting it in the digital copy, and that looked pink.
It's a new Hydra for a new age.
Yeah, and I get that, but it's also a little Gwenpool-y, especially as like, oh, it's the female. Although I like the idea that, oh no, this is, yeah, like you said, the new Hydra for the new age. And I like that. I like the dynamic between Falcon and Winter Soldier. And again, much like I hope that the Conan Netflix is going to borrow heavily from the Conan that we've seen, I'm hoping the new Winter Soldier Falcon Winter Soldier series borrows from this series. I feel like the way the dialogue and conversation is moving works really nicely. And I like the kind of story that they're telling. And to the end, I really hope that Shang-Chi is going to reveal a lot about what we're going to get in the Shang-Chi movie. Because this was actually my favorite book this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Shang-Chi #1, this really blew me out of the water. First off, we get this entire backstory, which is amazing, with Shang-Chi's father, who is, what do they call him? Zheng Zhu. There's Zheng Zhu and Zheng Yi. And Zheng Yi is the younger brother, Zheng Zhu is the older brother. Zheng Zhu is the father of Shang-Chi, but Zheng Zhu is also, for those who recall, back in the day, though we don't have the rights to him, Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
But this is this great nuanced origin for him. It's a great way that they present him. They create the 5 weapons: the hammer, the staff, the dagger, the sword, and the fist. And we see that all of Zheng Zhu's children are all various masters of each house, including the master of the staff, who's the current leader of Zheng Zhu's armies, and his sister, who's master of the House of Hammers. And then after she kills her brother, we see that although the staff is no longer illuminated, that the shrine to Zheng Zhu now illuminates the clan of the art of the hand. And, because Zheng Zhu, even beyond the grave, is still being a manipulative melon farmer. So anyway, so she goes out because she wants to destroy her brother, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is pulling a little Jackie Chan Adventures. He's down in Chinatown working in a restaurant, because that's where a superhero should be. I don't know if they have gotten rid of his duplication powers, or they just decided he's not going to use them. Yes, he has this power. He can duplicate himself at any time, but he just doesn't see any point to use them.
Maybe because it's not going to be in the movie, maybe?
Yeah, but also I like the idea that... So that's the thing. Like, they could take the power away. That's always a thing. But I like the idea that he is like, no, I'm enough just by myself, and I don't see a reason to use this duplication power. It's there.
Yeah.
If I ever need it, I can use it, but I don't really see any point in using it. I don't need to be multiple man. Multiple man does multiple man just fine. We don't need to. We don't need as many multiple men as we have with multiple man. So, and that's just one dude. So,
no.
It works. He meets the lady whose restaurant he lives above's niece. So we get that nice little flirty. She's a lawyer. Because, that is, superheroes go for lawyers. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, Philip.
Kind of, yeah. Newspaper reporters are lawyers, yep.
Then he meets this lady who is, I guess, from his old books, that's the MI5 agent that he's always had a crush on and worked with. And then they get attacked by the remnants of the House of the Staff that were sent by the current leader of Zheng Zu's army. And they're all, of course, very committed. And they're like, no, we're not going to follow that Hammer lady because, we saw that the Flame chose you. You're our new leader, so what do we do next? Which is delightful. But then we find out that, that the leader of the House of the Hammers and the leader of the House of the Fist, that this is Shang-Chi's long-lost sister. And he has to go to save her. But she wants to destroy him. What? Oh, wackiness will ensue. So, just a really great book, really well written. Just, it has lore, it has everything you're going to want from it. And I appreciate that. Anyway, do you want to talk about a book, Philip?
Well, did you read Fantastic Four?
Of course I read Fantastic
I figured.
Four. And this is, man, Johnny's a petty. So this is Johnny just sort of growing and changing, and let me just see something here. Oh, well. Interesting point on this. Dramatic foreshadowing. We do see Ben and Johnny are put to the side.
Oh.
Or are the Richards family. So,
yep.
Not saying that's what it's going to be, but, there's clearly something being set up there. And for what it's worth, we see that there are lots of groups that you can form out of the four, including now we have Ben and Alicia raising the two kids, the Kree and the Skrull child. The Kree child is very much into the Yankees.
Yes.
Yeah, that's some toxic masculinity there. Just going to say. Meanwhile, Franklin's off on coke. I'm a mutant, Mom. I'm going to get my ears pierced, so deal with it. That's delightful. And Iceman takes him back. And the computer recognizes Iceman as a member of the Fantastic Four because apparently Iceman joined the Fantastic Four after one of the many times that Johnny Storm quit.
Yep.
And then they cut back to the overly pixelated comic style to say this took place in the 60s. We're going to use that style of art and we're going to make big ink dots on everybody's face. Because that's how printing looked back then, which isn't really how printing looked back then, but sure, why not? Sometimes it looked like that. Not as often as you think. I mean, it was actually a pretty fluid inking process, but we also get young Bobby Drake. We found out that Bobby Drake is the youngest member, and they always had safeties on the Danger Room. But at the same time, there was this argument to be made that because they always put the safeties on the Danger Room, that kept the Danger Room from really challenging Bobby Drake. So when he leaves, Johnny leaves because he feels that he's too good for the Fantastic Four. And then, Bobby Drake joins, and they're immediately impressed that he's such a well-behaved young man. He's not like Johnny Storm. He's a teenager, but he's not a complete ass. If we can use that term. We see here Johnny's doing his many loves of Dobie Gillis thing here. Meanwhile, Iceman is fighting this wannabe Celestial, and then Johnny Storm shows up and he gets into a fight with Iceman because Johnny is petty. And he's still petty, and that leads to everything. But because Bobby Drake proved himself fighting with Fantastic Four, the X-Men say, please come back to us. You are a member of our team. We love you. And Johnny Storm stays. So that was the issue. And then at the very end, Johnny has his 5 seconds of growth. and says, "Of course, Bobby Drake, you can say, because the Fantastic Four is more than just us four. Mm-hmm. We have many members and we love each other. Yay."
Well, how do you feel about the rewriting of history? Because they're like, that would have made him like the first replacement, because I think they said this happens before Sue gets pregnant, before, one of the many times Ben loses his powers. Mm-hmm. So it's like Iceman.
Well, actually, as he says, he's the first replacement, but he's only the replacement because Johnny quit.
Yes.
So when Ben would quit, because Ben makes a point, I say, "I quit this. What are you talking about? I quit the team like once every couple of weeks. Please, I storm out of here all the time. You guys, don't do this." But that because Bobby Drake showed up immediately, filled the gap. It's like if Luke Cage had showed up, it's like, "Yeah, hey, say that Ben walked out. You guys hiring?" It's like, "Well, sure, Mr. Cage."
Uh-huh.
If freaking Peter Parker had showed up at that point when Ben had walked out, then Peter Parker would have gotten that job.
Yep.
And a different world it would have been. But, that's the thing. It's like you have to be there on the day that either the torch or the thing leaves the job. So, but yeah, I liked it. I felt it was a very nice retcon. I get that it's not something that actually happened in the 60s books, but now, since Reed and Franklin rebuilt the universe, which is also one of these weird things that kind of suggests that, gee, maybe this happened in the past. Maybe Franklin just thought it would be a fun way to F with his Uncle Johnny. We don't know anymore. It's all ephemeral. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. What do you think of Avengers?
I don't know. I like the fight, but between Moon Knight and Black Panther, but it's like I have no problem with Black Panther controlling the hammer, but too many people are controlling that hammer anymore.
Although, to be fair, they actually lampshade that in Thor right now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the hammer's all crazy because the freaking storm spirits now. Like, I'm kind of sick of this.
And the same thing. I mean, with the Phoenix Force, it's not like everyone's. It seems like almost everyone's hosted the Phoenix Force at some point. But like I was telling Ray, I don't know if this is going to be like.
I think the first non-mutant to host it. So
yeah, maybe. But my thing is, I wonder if they're going to use this because it looks like at the end he goes off to battle Khonshu. I wonder if they're going to use this as a way to kind of distance Mark Spector from Khonshu for a while, especially with that show coming.
I mean, it's possible, and again, it might be like, is Khonshu even Khonshu?
Yeah.
But you know what? One of the things I found weird about this is that it was hard for me to really figure out. Okay, because first he's battling, because you have Khonshu battling Black Panther, and then you have Moon Knight battling Black Panther, and they kind of cut between the two.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have your Nick Fury cameo where, I can never interact, but apparently now I can just talk to any of you guys whenever I feel like it.
Oh, the unseen, yeah.
Which actually kind of makes you realize that, dude, the Watchers just aren't. The Watchers are kind of bound by their own rules, which means that they will say you are cursed to live forever, to observe all things, and to never interfere. But, are you guys going to stop me if I do?
Yeah, but...
No, because that would be interfering.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, is the Unseen kind of able to interact now because Uatu's back?
Oh, I mean, maybe. Although, again, within that entire concept, first off, we don't know... First off...
Yeah.
We don't know Uatu's back. That could be Aaron the Watcher for all we know.
Yes.
It's not to be racist, but all Watchers look alike. Even Uatu and his wife kind of look like each other. So, yeah. So, I don't mind Black Panther as the focus of the Panther God being able to communicate with the God of the Storm within the Uru to allow it to work with him. Mm-hmm. Because that to me makes sense. Because in that sense, it isn't that Black Panther is wielding it. In fact, does he actually hold it at any point, or does he just have it?
No, I think it just flies around him. Yeah, I don't think Black Panther actually picks it up.
Yeah, so it is always a marriage of equals.
Yeah.
This I think is the best thing right here is freaking Starbrand baby. gonna go kick Conchu's butt.
Oh yeah.
Is not feeling this, and that kid was like, I can't control it. It's the freaking Starbrand, baby. And then and again, because this all goes back to our Avengers BC and a lot of the stuff that we've established in those books, I can work with it. Because it's like, yes, these beings and these entities beyond anything else have this relationship. So the Panther God has had this relationship with the Storm God of within Mjolnir, and the Phoenix has been a part of this group before. So they remember each other, and they can work together, and they can build their new world together. So I can work with that. It doesn't bother me at all. But a lot of people are wielding Mjolnir. But again, like I said, they put a lampshade on it over in Thor.
True.
Thor's having a problem with it, so it's like, yeah, okay. The Storm wants to do her own thing now. They got to get it ready because she's going to go run off with Jane Foster again in a minute. So.
Oh yeah, when that movie comes out, yeah.
Yeah. So, as is. All right, Philip. Anything else you want to talk about this week?
No, I think that's good.
I think we did a good show. I think that we should talk about all of our lovely sponsors.
Yes.
But, a lot of people, we would like to talk about our sponsors, but they can't hear us very well because they're using substandard audio equipment. And why these people will not go to tweakedaudio.com, use the coupon code Southgate, and get fine audio equipment to listen to these podcasts with is beyond me. It's beyond me, Philip. It's like the people who are bored and say, what should I do? I would like to challenge myself. I would like to be mentally stimulated, and yet they don't go to huntingkiller.com, helping out Michelle Gray, solving a cold case, getting in an escape room delivered to their house every month. Even now, discovering the mystery of the Blair Witch. It's a thing they're doing. I don't know, but they're also use that coupon code Southgate, and it's not even like it's going to cost you as much as it would cost the suckers who aren't using the coupon code. But, not everyone's going to like that stuff. Sometimes they want to just buy whatever the heck they want, and I understand that. And if you want to buy anything else in the universe, you can always go to Amazon.com for that, but we highly suggest you go down to our show notes, click the Amazon link we have there. That's going to tell them that you were listening to us, knew that link was there, and that it'll tell them to reward us back. It'll cost you nothing. It's going to help out the show. And if you like this show, and you like the content, use that link. And while you're there, if you really want to help out the show in a very particular and personal way, we have a book out, put up by the Southgate Media Group fans, not fans, but family, called Pod Life the Book. And it's just all the tales, the stories, new and old, of the people in the Southgate Media Group family, why they podcast, how they podcast, and what their podcasting means to them. So if that's interesting to you, you may want to pick up the book. And that's about it. But Philip, if people would like to reach out to you via email, via phone numbers, via anything at all, perhaps on Twitter, how can they find you?
Well, the easiest ways are to either email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And we're all over social media, including Superconnectivity with its own accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on YouTube. Links for everything are at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And there you go. And of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Maz and Paz once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things when I darn well feel like it, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Super Connectivity. You have enjoyed it. Hopefully, you have had your mind stimulated as if you had just gone to huntingkiller.com. But if not, if you need more stimulation, come back here again in 7 short days and super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
That's the story.
Tell us who's playing Moon Knight.
No one knows yet.
I know.
But
No one
probably
knows.
not Keanu Reeves. My money's on Peter Scolari.